We have an exclusive story to cover here from GameFile. Former ex-Kotaku Stephen Totillo and his website GameFile says that he has exclusive audio from a meeting from Ubisoft. And I found this fascinating. I want to cover it. It says, in an unusual video in Paris, Ubisoft documents Assassin's Creed Shadows messy culture war saga. Exclusive. A transcript of Ubisoft's official company video about battling the backlash to its biggest game in years. A key line: we had to stop focusing on who hated us. Well, shit. That didn't seem to work out. I would argue, before we even get into this, one, it's a paywalled article, so I'm only going to go into what is shown publicly, and there's other things to talk about in addition to this. But two, Assassin's Creed Shadows was facing backlash from gamers who love Assassin's Creed that are saying, we don't want you to do what you're doing to it right now. We have money, and we would like to exchange it for your goods and services, but not if you do this with it. And instead of listening to them, Ubisoft says, we had to stop focusing on those who hated us. And what happens? Well, spoiler alert, which we'll come back to this in a second. Assassin's Creed Shadows is the lowest selling game of the last 5 Assassin's Creed games, despite having the highest budget. Well, that didn't really work out to not listen to the people buying the game. We've been asked a lot to explain what happened. Ubisoft CEO Yves Guillemot told an audience of video game industry insiders at the last Thursday during Paris Games Week, which is why we're showing you the video today. The what happened that Guillemot was referring to was mid-2024 online backlash to Assassin's Creed Shadows. Last spring, the franchise's long-awaited venture into feudal Japan got its first full trailer and quickly became the target for Elon Musk, which, by the way, again, ex-Kotaku journalist. So they're going to have an angle here where anyone on the right is targeting and bad, and everyone on the left is just, hey, they're just trying to do what they want to do. Instead of, hey, maybe people just want the games to be free of this woke shit. It's not like a target, like they're trying to attack it. It's more like a, hey, make this better. Don't turn it to shit. Can you do that, please? Elon Musk and others who slammed it for featuring a black man as its samurai co-protagonist, which I will tell you right now, that's like describe a movie badly, saying featuring a black man. Like, well, yeah, because it's feudal Japan. It should be a Japanese samurai, bro. And also, Yasuke was not a samurai. I don't know how many times we gotta go through this, but stop saying he's a samurai. He was not a samurai. The video Guillemot showed to his audience on Thursday was a remarkable 184-second professionally narrated feature about what Ubisoft did about it. It's the kind of fiasco that game companies are typically loath to discuss. What happens when a legendary franchise reveals one of its most anticipated experiences? The video begins, only to become the game everyone loves to hate. The gist of the video and remarks from Guillemot that followed is that Ubisoft was initially thrown off by the backlash. And guys, if you believe that, I got a bridge to sell you. Are we really gonna sit here and just believe that Ubisoft was surprised that they went with a black person in feudal Japan as their main protagonist during the peak of wokeness, that nobody would say anything about it? Come on. How stupid do you think we are, bro? Pivoted by delaying the game, polished it. You sure about that? And focused on appealing to Assassin's Creed fans who would in turn defend the game. Where? What even is that? We had to stop focusing on those who hated us. We had to start firing up our allies. So this is actually a very key point that I want to focus on. And it's very similar, akin to what's happening with Ghost Yotei right now, where we see people like Paris, Colin Moriarty, the typical PlayStation shills that are out there, Khalif Adams, that are propping this game up and trying to say great things about it. And it's amazing because they're trying to change public sentiment. These are the allies of the companies that the good old boy network that are trying to get the impression out there that people are loving this game and that you should buy it too. In reality, people aren't falling for that. And that's why nobody listens to what these people ever say, because they know exactly what they are. In remarks on stage in Paris following the video, Guillemot said the company worked last year to present Shadows as a game rather than an expression of an ideology. Well, shit, I would hope so, because it is a game. We were initially surprised by the extent of the attacks, he said, and we quickly realized that it was a battle with our fans to demonstrate that we were, in fact, more of a video game than a message. Press X to doubt. If that was the case, why did you pick the only black person in history of Japan as the main protagonist of your game? Why? That has less than 1.5 pages total documented history of. You just coincidentally that's who you wanted to go with. Out of everyone in Japan, all the lore, all the history, you picked the one black guy. And we're supposed to believe that it's about the game, not the message. One of the most woke companies out there, Ubisoft. Again, how stupid do you think people are? Note, Guillemot gave these remarks in French. I ran a machine translation of his comments by a fluent bilingual speaker and by Ubisoft. You can read the original French via footnotes to this article. Guillemot's presentation in Paris was unexpected. Even the official event description vaguely described plans for the CEO to discuss whatever the fuck that is, technological upheavals, and nothing about addressing Shadows and its backlash. During his session, Guillemot would eventually talk about evolving live game worlds, AI-driven NPCs, and the immersive potential of VR if it could get past requirements for heavy headsets. All topics he and Ubisoft have hit before, but prior to all that, the topic was AC Shadows Backlash. Press coverage of Guillemot's talk, as best as I can tell, has been non-existent. Curious. Almost like people realized it was a failure and they're just moving on from it. Weird. But GameFile obtained an audio recording of Ubisoft's video and was privy to Guillemot's remarks. Both help fill out more of a picture of what happened to one of the world's biggest and most embattled game companies in recent years and how upper management views those events. While the video was shown in Paris, it is almost entirely in English. A Ubisoft rep told me that's because the company may also air it internally for members of its global workforce, though there don't seem to be plans to post public-facing Ubisoft channels. And he says, here's the transcript of the pretty corporate, but also very dramatic 184-second video. And that's where it goes into the cutoff, which even if I started the trial, I would not feel comfortable exposing that because it's behind a paywall. This is all what's publicly available, which is what I want to talk about here today. And I want to focus on how interesting that Ubisoft takes the perspective of it's your fault, the gamers, the haters, the people that were complaining about it, of why the game was failing, and how Ubisoft themselves wanted to ignore you, the customer, in lieu of focusing on the people that would eat up their slop. Find the toxic positivity in gaming and address them. And when you do that, you are making a product for literally nobody. The toxic positive people are the ones that don't even buy the fucking game. And if they do buy it, they're very, very, very percent of a percent of the gaming audience in general. And they're the ones that go out there on social media saying, oh my God, best game ever, 10 out of 10, it's amazing. And whenever I see one of them say something like that, I'm like, I already know. I'm like, yep, that's a game to avoid. When I see those same people say it, you already know. Pirate Nation on X says, Ubisoft stock dropped below €8, 7.75 euros. Yikes. Yikes. Endymion quote tweets Nick Tech. He says, but Circana said Assassin's Creed Shadows sold so well, it owned the chuds. Why is Ubisoft not doing well? They wouldn't lie to me like this, would they? Nick Tech, what's going on with Ubisoft stock price? It just keeps going lower and lower. Curious, right? Weird. And Rock Solid says, TikTok Ubisoft. It's not looking good for them, to put it nicely. I know people say, oh my God, move on from the Circana stuff. It's like, no, I'm not moving on from the Circana stuff, because this is actually the epicenter of where the toxic positivity problem comes from. This guy says shit about games and gets pushed by the same crowd of people every time. And it's just lies, fabrication, pushing a false agenda of information, misrepresenting actual data to push a sentiment. I said, when I brought this up to Colin, he used it as an opportunity to claim Assassin's Creed Shadows was a roaring success for Ubisoft. Again, people say he won the argument. No, he spoke with authority and constantly talked over me. That didn't make him right. Here's what Matt Piscatella from Circle Jerk Research had to say about it at launch. Assassin's Creed Shadows was the best-selling title in March, instantly becoming the number 2 best-selling game of 2025 year to date. Well, damn. Sure as shit sounds like this game is going to be making infinite money for Ubisoft based off of those sentences. Assassin's Creed Shadows finished the month ranked first in full game dollar sales on Xbox platforms and second on both PlayStation and Steam. My goodness, that's a mouthful of stipulations to get those numbers, but welcome to what Circana Research is doing with gaming. And Geralt of Gunia says, Assassin's Creed Shadows is the lowest selling game of the last 5 Assassin's Creed games, despite having the highest budget. Turns out people don't want to play as Johnny Somali. So again, this is manipulating data to make it seem like it's actually doing well when it's not. When you ignore all these other factors, when you realize it's just for that month, it literally means nothing. I could pour $500+ million into a game, and you can sure as shit bet it's going to be number 1 or number 2 that month with the marketing budget behind it and everything. Of course, that doesn't mean it's making money. It just means that you put a lot of money into it to make sure it gets out there. Being number 1 for the month means fucking nothing. Now, if it was some no-name indie game, then yeah, that might actually mean something, of course, because we already know going into it that you didn't put much money into the budget of that game. So these numbers mean nothing when it comes to the success of a game, which is the point that I was trying to get across to Colin. I don't know how many different ways I can say that to people. People still don't understand when I say it. They're like, you're just trying to cope. I'm like, no, you're not fucking listening. This is what's destroying companies. I'm trying to save this from happening in the future. At the end of the day, it might be tough love, but it's still fucking love at the end of the day. I want these companies to be successful. I want them to stop fucking their franchises over. It comes out of a place of good. It just isn't toxic positivity. And that's why these people hate me for it. And they know I'm not changing, which is why they'll always hate me. But I'm never going to change. So fucking deal with it. I'm going to leave it there. We was successful in shit. Pimpagastani for the 5-banger. I believe Assassin's Creed Shadows goes way farther than people realize. I believe it was created to rewrite Japanese history, to push global homo on Japan. I could see that. I could see that. I don't know if we're ever going to find out the details of that kind of stuff. It goes into hardcore conspiracy theory territory with globalization, World Economic Forum, behind the scenes deals, low interest loans, Ubisoft connections behind the scenes and what they're doing with them. And I don't know if any of that would ever come to light, if it even exists in the first place. But if it did, and it is, and it does, holy shit. It'd definitely be something.